welcome to my channel Moxie DIY and Java. Today we're going to be doing some Valentine's DIYs, and then we'll also be making a recipe in the kitchen. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, whatever it is, and join me. You will need a hot glue gun with glue sticks, wood glue, wood beads from Hobby Lobby, wood candlestick from Hobby Lobby, 2 shadow box decor pieces from the Dollar Tree, paint and not pictured antiquing wax, and cardstock. To start, we're going to grab our 2 shadow boxes and remove any accessories that are attached to them. Now I have my sanding sponge and I am simply going to be sanding away any extra bits that I couldn't get off with my putty knife. Now we're going to be painting our shadow boxes with our white paint. Today I chose to do the chalk paint rather than spray paint. It's really cold where I live, so it will take forever for spray paint to dry, so I just decided to use chalk paint instead. If you're able to use spray paint, I highly recommend that instead, but chalk paint works just as well. For this particular shadow box, I will need to paint the entire thing white so I can give it a faux wood grain look, so it will match the top of our tiered tray. Now we're moving on to the top of our tiered tray. This one is great as is, but I do want to cover up the image that's on the inside. So to do that, rather than painting it, I'm simply going to trace out the dimensions for that part in white cardstock or any color that you prefer, and just Mod Podge that in. I apologize this is off screen, but here I'm just applying a thin layer of Mod Podge. Now it's time to paint the base of our tiered tray, but first coffee. I'm going to apply a second coat of the chalk paint to the areas that I already did. Now we'll let that dry and we will move on to our beads. Once again, I apologize that this is out of the shot. I have the bead on a pencil and am putting a thin layer of the Waverly Antique Wax on the bead. And now using a paper towel, I am wiping off the excess wax. And I'm just going to follow the same steps that I used with the beads on the wooden candlestick. To create the faux wood look, we're going to use a chip brush that's really stiff and the Waverly Antique Wax. We're going to put just a little bit on the tip of the brush and then dab it off on a paper towel and then gently glide it over the piece. As you can see, it starts to create wood grain. And now we're going to repeat it all over the box. If it goes on a little heavy like it did here, you can always scrub it off with a paper towel, or you can paint over it again with your base color. On the following 3 sides, I'm using the paper towel for blending. And now I'm adding a second coat. Now we're moving on to the final step of our painting. We're going to take some water and some white paint, combine it, and we're going to make a whitewash to create a similar look as the top of our tiered tray. And we'll continue the whitewash on the rest of the antiqued wax. Moving on to one of the final steps of our tiered tray, we're going to add the feet to the bottom. I am using hot glue here. The brand I really like is Gorilla because it is good for all different materials, but if you want to use wood glue, absolutely feel free. Now that the feet are attached, we're going to go on ahead and glue the rest of it to the bottom. I pre-adhered the candlestick to the top tier, so it is a little bit easier for me to attach to the base. All you need to do is find the center like so. Now I'm going to glue the top to the bottom, getting it as close to the center as I possibly can. And the easiest way for me to do this, because it is a square, is to lay it on its side and make sure that both edges are in line. I find that rotating the candlestick a bit while the glue is still warm allows it to adhere a little better. This DIY, you will need a mason jar decor piece from the Dollar Tree, scissors, cardstock, wooden stickers, a pencil, and glue. Next, we'll need to trace the bottom part of our mason jar onto our cardstock and then trim it out. Once the fit is right, we will glue it with Mod Podge onto the piece. I really like the top part and how it looked like galvanized metal, so I'm leaving that exposed and only putting the cardstock on the bottom part. But you can absolutely put the cardstock on the entire piece if you'd like. Once the paper is adhered, we can move on to the next part, which is decorating with our cute little hearts. I'm going to keep the foam sticker on the back so it adds dimension. Now it's just a matter of figuring out which ones work best with each other and how many I would like to add. I felt like the this needed a little something extra, so I grabbed some of this ribbon that is also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to adhere it around the neck of the mason jar. Now that it is glued on where I want it, I'm going to dovetail the ends of my ribbon. DIY, you will need the mini shadow boxes from Dollar Tree, glue, and any accessory. Now we're moving on to our third DIY, which are tiny shadow boxes. I'm going to trace around them on some pink cardstock so I don't have to worry about painting the inside. True to form, the inside does not fit, so I will need to redo my cutting. Now, I don't know about you, but I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. So thank goodness for these paper cutters. To create an embellishment for these boxes, I'm going to use these really cute napkins I found at Hobby Lobby. Now to adhere these, I'm simply going to use a school glue stick. I'm not going to glue these papers into the boxes, so I can pop them out and switch out the colors for different holidays or seasons. This burlap heart is from the long love signs that are in Dollar Tree stores currently. For this DIY, you will need 8 to 9 paper sacks, scissors, and hot glue. You will attach the bags with flap side up and glue in the form of a T. Now that the bags are glued together, we're going to cut our design. With the opening at the top, we're going to start with a curved shape, starting on the right side, going towards the middle. I went on ahead and drew out the design that I wanted. I found that that was easier for me. Now that our wax has dried, it's time to zhuzh up our swing. But first we're going to attach the twine through the drilled holes on each side. I'm measuring it for my tiered tray, and if you make this swing, you should definitely measure it for yours so that way it hangs right. But my twine was about 18 inches. If you find you have a hard time pushing the twine through the hole, use the end of a paper clip to help get that through. Here are all of our finished 5 DIYs. Aren't they cute? I found this recipe on Pinterest and it sounded really interesting. It's one I've been wanting to try for a little while. I will make sure that the recipe is linked below in the description box. How cute are these new Starbucks cups? Cheers! Now I'm adding powdered sugar 1 cup at a time. This is about the consistency of Play-Doh. We're adding 1 teaspoon of peppermint extract. the mint molds. Now, I also don't recommend using piping bags. You may notice from the picture previous to the video that it showed piping bags with a tip. I don't recommend that either. The dough, again, was so thick it was nearly impossible for me to squeeze it through the tip. What worked out the best was rolling it in a ball and then pressing it with a fork. Those dried perfectly and they came up perfectly. That's the way that I will do it from here on out. I'm not even gonna waste my time using molds. Now I'm just sprinkling some powdered sugar onto my surface so I can roll the dough balls in it so they don't stick. After dipping the fork in the powdered sugar, I'm just pressing each of the dough balls with the tines of the fork. Now we'll let them sit for at least 4 hours or longer. Now we come to the hot mess of this recipe, but don't get me wrong, they still taste delicious. Here are the round ones, all pretty and ready for presentation. I plan to use these on our hot chocolate bar. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you found inspiration with these crafts and this recipe. If you did, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. Till next time, take care.